Hey everybody, it's a treat to be here at Nashville, Summer NAMM 2014. I'm with Andy from Taylor, and if you haven't figured it out by now, Andy's a pretty great guitar player, as well as a design maestro. Design maestro? Yeah. We're trying to figure out what Andy is, but Andy's important, trust me. And you're here to tell us about a guitar that even I personally am super excited about. 150C?
150E. This is
E.
Yeah, the idea was that for a lot of players, a 12-string guitar isn't a primary instrument. Like as a player, I use one a couple of times a year on records or when I need a 12-string sound. But I wanted a 12-string guitar that sounded good, that played really easily, that intonated well, that I didn't need to lay out a serious chunk of cash to get, because, you know, I might use it a couple of times a year on a record or something. So this guitar is a 12-string, a dreadnought that we've added to our 100 series line. It's a solid Sitka top, layered sapele back and sides, that we really put a lot of effort into the setup, into the intonation, as well as the electronics. So this is a really excellently functioning 12-string guitar that's not that expensive. It's not going to break the bank.
It doesn't play cheap. It doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't look cheap. How'd you pull it off?
Well, this is an instrument we're building in our Tecate, Mexico factory, which is about 30 miles away from our El Cajon factory. And it's a layered sapele, so we're able to better optimize the tone wood source because you're getting 40 layers per inch of raw material rather than 4. And it has a solid Sitka top. So you've got a lot of the real tone enhancing benefits of a very professional instrument. Ebony fingerboard, ebony bridge, as well as our original expression system electronics that work really well with a 12-string design. So it's a real professional quality instrument that's been not overly gussied up, so that a musician like me who's using this as a perhaps a flavor instrument in their arsenal, in their quiver, this is something that I could have and use, but not have to treat it as my primary instrument.
The way this feels, there's no reason that anyone looking for a 12-string as a primary instrument should be dissuaded, because this is a great guitar.
Yeah, that was actually, as we were developing this instrument, I was paying particular care to the way that it was set up and intonated. So this guitar feels just like our other 12-string guitars. There's a lot of effort that goes into making this guitar play really well. Because for me as a player, that's one of the struggles that I have with a 12-string. Is, well, they're hard. You got 12 strings you got to push down, That's tough on the hands. So I want it to play really consistently and well from one to the next.
How do you characterize it tonally? Taylor has a history of making great 12 strings. They're often sit really nicely in that upper mid-range, and they're bright and present. How do you find this compares to what people might think of traditionally as a Taylor 12?
Well, the 12-string guitar, it's going to be a real thick, full, rich sound just by virtue of having all the octave courses. And so we emphasize that with the dreadnought body, which it results in a real powerful, warm, low-end response. But overall, there's a very clear, modern, distinct quality to the whole instrument. It's meant to sit well with other instruments, as well as sound real precise and clean. So that's, more than anything, that's what I appreciate about this guitar. It plays well, and it plays well with others.
That bass is no joke, by the way. I felt that when I had a bash earlier. That was nice. That was cool. Well, should we have a little listen?
Sure.
Play some stuff? Cool, so this is out in the world, and
Yep.
We just missed it on our 12-string roundup because it wasn't quite ready, but this thing is out and in the world and ready for people to pick up.
Yeah, we're just getting these out to our dealers now, and I invite all the players to come down, find one, check it out, because I think they'll really like it.
The most important thing, $800 basically.
Yeah, like I said, it's a really quality professional 12-string that intonates well and plays well, that isn't going to break the bank. So even if you're a a 6-string player or an electric player and you need to add an acoustic 12-string sound to the mix, this is a really approachable way to do it.
All right, Andy. Someone told me this is called the Sassafras. I mean, it's not actually named the Sassafras, but tell us about Sassafras.
Well, this was one of the relatively recent discovery for me. This is Tasmanian black-hearted sassafras. You know, it's a couple of years ago I became really interested in some of the forests around there because they are some of the most untouched and well-managed forests in the entire world. So I discovered that there's a couple of woods there that make really wonderful guitars, other than the Tasmanian Blackwood that I'd already...
Did Bob send you on a wood quest? Because I know he's prone to putting on a rain slicker and going out to far-flung reaches of the earth. Did you get sent, or did you want to go?
It was actually my own doing. I was
2 peas in a pod.
Yeah, we are like 2 peas in a pod, but I'd been building with these woods and learned all about it and thought, I got to go check this out. So tromped off into the brush after a 16-hour flight from home. And
snakes?
Lots of snakes. Home to more poisonous snakes than any other place on the planet. So, you know, watch where you step. But this wood it's a really remarkable guitar wood because there are familiar qualities that you hear, little bits of rosewood, little bits of mahogany, all mixed into this sound that's its own unique personality. I can't directly compare it to anything other than the fact that it sounds like an amazing guitar. It's really dynamic, it's responsive, it's warm, it's brilliant. It's all these things, you go, I don't know what to call it other than sounds really good.
And this is a fall limited, right? This coming out in September?
Yeah, this is a guitar that will be, you'll see it in the local dealers maybe September, October, because this particular wood, it's not often that I find it with this unusual coloring. So we built a real special guitar that has a lot of the same features as our new 800 series.
Why don't you give us a look at the back, by the way?
You bet. Yeah, one of the interesting attributes of this particular wood is that the sassafras, which normally grows as a real pale blonde wood, once in a while gets this real unique coloring where it starts to bring in, you know, these real dark browns and purples, this real dramatic, beautiful color. Most interestingly, because the tree doesn't normally grow that way, every single one of these guitars is completely unlike the next one. I've never seen 2 sets that are exactly the same. So each one is really as unique as a fingerprint in this case.
What body style are we looking at here?
This one's a Grand Orchestra, which is our largest design. It's really like the lap piano of our guitars. It's a huge, powerful, dynamic kind of response that still works well with even a light touch. So
spruce top? Yeah,
Sitka top, rosewood binding, and the same bracing scheme as our new 800 series, put together with protein glues and a lot of the new improvements, including the expression system too, which is, in my opinion, the best acoustic guitar pickup on the market. It's the first time that I've been able to have a plug-in and play ready guitar and always sound good.
Let's hear some sassafras then. I can't believe it's called sassafras. That's
sassafras, yeah. It kind of rolls right off the tongue.
Beautiful. So there's one more fall limited that Shalise is going to hand over to us here. Thanks, Shalise. What's this?
This is another limited that's also featuring a Tasmanian wood. This is a more. This wood is a little less rare, a little more conventional to the guitar world, at least. It's Tasmanian Blackwood, and it's a close cousin to koa. It's an acacia, but this is perhaps even an older variety than the Hawaiian koa. It's like an even mix of rosewood and mahogany. It has this real brilliant, chimey, ringing response that's real warm at the same time. So you have this beautiful top end sustain and a real friendly, familiar kind of response.
It's even got there's even similarities between the grain of it's almost a marriage of the two.
Yeah, it really is. You know, we were specially selecting real straight old trees, and the way that we've been procuring this material is one of the things that excites me about it, because This is primarily coming from storm-fallen trees on private farmland that's being replanted as those old, past maturity trees are harvested. So it's one of the most responsible ways to utilize that forestry resource. So this is a wood that'll be available for generations to come, which I'm very excited about because it's one of my favorite tone woods. It's an amazing sounding material.
Should we hear a bit?
Sure.
It's a good thing these sound so good, man, because otherwise I'd suspect you're just going down to Australia to surf. You're like, yeah, Bob, I'm just looking for some wood. And
I did get in the water there, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. And he does a lot of surfing down in SoCal. What's your spot? What's your break?
I'm a big-time Blacks fan, but all over around Southern California.
Keep an eye open at Blacks for Andy here. Andy, it was a pleasure. Thanks for hanging out. And again, TaylorGuitar.com.
Yep, TaylorGuitars.com, and as well, check out our friends at PremierGuitar.com.
All right. That's for Andy. This is Charles signing off for Premier Guitar.